What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Parker's Couch. I know it's been a minute since I've been on here, since we posted anything on YouTube of our original content. But, it's just one of those things that just been busy and out doing things. You know how life goes sometimes. Before we get into stuff, I want to make sure if this is your first time joining us that you do like and subscribe and share if you do enjoy the channel. Also, I want to say thank you to those of you who have subscribed. Reaching over 100 subscribers is a milestone, like starting your journey at YouTube. I was looking back today and we had posted our first video in September 12th, not knowing anybody and anything. It just kind of just messing around, doing what we like and trying to figure it out along the way, which we're still trying to figure things out and stuff now at the same, but with that said, it is something about growing organically and doing that and starting off with 0 and to get to 116 right now. It just feels good. And I want to keep that going and I want to continue to build on that momentum and keep pushing because I truly find enjoyment in talking to all of you and just sharing some viewpoints. And I want to, get better at that and develop that and continue to do so. So I'm here posting a video today here at the Parker's Couch here solo again because my brother is hard working. He's been working, doing real well at his job and stuff now. So, and it's kind of like work with we're trying to figure out the schedule, how to do things. But in the meantime, like I mentioned before, there are going to be things that I post and cover stories that I'm interested in. Now, last week, I did want to post a video and talk about a few stories, but I was kind of in my feeling. I don't know. I was just in a mood. It's something about going out of winter and into spring, and it's always like a chaotic time for me, kind of emotionally, and just a lot of things. I don't know what it is. Like I just have so many up and down kind of moments and days, and then when the storms of life come around you, whenever you already kind of go through those emotional time periods. I'm a Cancer, if that means anything, a double Cancer, rising as a Leo. If that means anything, it just puts you in the mood. And sometimes it's just hard. You just want to kind of be alone. You want to do your thing, move whenever you want to move and, just go through it. So I kind of been going through it. But now, baby, we're about to be back and pushing more material out. I have gotten through. Spring is starting to spring. I'm ready to be outside. The podcast is coming this week. We're going to be recording tonight. The WNBA draft is tonight. So on the heels of that, after that, we'll be doing our next Parker's Couch recording with my two brothers. So you'll probably look for those. We have been posting on Mondays a lot. Last week it was like a Wednesday. It's probably gonna end up being between Monday and Wednesday that those podcasts get published. And they're mainly just audio. Sometimes they post to YouTube. Podbean ain't doing what it's supposed to do. I got to check on that. Like it's supposed to automatically post to YouTube too, but not all of them are posting. Some do. But that's on all major platforms from Apple, Spotify, Amazon, all those outlets. So definitely check out the Parker's Couch podcast because we have a lot of fun and stuff we definitely want to get into tonight as we record tonight. And hopefully I have that out and ready to go for Tuesday, as long as it's not any major audio issues and all that kind of stuff. But it's real fun. It's real fun. And thank you for downloading the podcast, y'all. It's doing well. Like we are kind of like above average numbers for starting a podcast. I'm excited about that. We have approaching getting towards the 300 and downloads and stuff with the amount of podcasts we've done. And that's great. I love that. And I want to keep that growing. And we might have some exciting things coming with that, with a podcaster event that's going on in DC next month that me and my brother will attend. And hopefully we can do some things to build that up and I'll be ready. But, I said, let me go ahead and jump on here today because there were definitely some topics that I wanted to talk about last week. And I said, it's gone, so maybe not do it. Then I said, why the hell not? I got opinions, and I just want to jump on here and talk about some of those now. Um, and hopefully, too, we will start reviewing some more Bravo stuff. The Bravo world was crazy today. If you've been watching, with Robin officially being fired, Candace and the baby announcement, the rumors of NECA being fired, it's it's a shakeup, and the shakeup is needed. And so there's a lot to get into there. Also, I'm loving Martha's Vineyard, so I would love to talk Martha's Vineyard too. So hopefully, me and my brother could work that out, or I pull in my man Quentin. We get back to doing some things together, and we just have some fun and kiki with y'all, and get y'all input on stuff too. But what I want to talk about right now today is run through a few topics that was on my mind, and actually, one thing y'all don't know about me, or some people might know, I used to be a pretty religious guy. And I read a lot of the Bible. I did a lot of some preaching and talking and doing all that. But one of the stories, or one of the messages I always loved, was the Beatitudes. And the Beatitudes is all about all the characteristics that's going to get you in the kingdom of heaven, basically. So all these things that are usually looked upon as, maybe not so great on earth all the time, your reward is in heaven. So they go through a whole blessed, blessed assurance. Yes, blessed. Now it's not blessed, it's all countrified. Blessed are. All right. So I thought about, as I was going through these stories, I was thinking about all beatitudes of what was happening in these situations, but it's not exactly keys to the kingdom of heaven. But that's how I'm going to introduce the stories as we go through them. And the first one was, I'm just going to say, blessed are those that cause confusion on earth, and maybe you'll tell the truth in heaven. Now, this was all around OJ Simpson. Like, it was, y'all know OJ just recently died of cancer. So, and it's one of those things when it happened. I was talking to my ex-wife actually then, and I was like, this is one of those things you don't know how to process. It's like, what is the reaction? I was curious what the reaction was going to be from people, because OJ is such a polarizing figure and everything surrounding that. And then this death all of a sudden, which death in itself is something that's sad, traumatic, and stuff to overcome. But then when certain people die, you could be very hot or cold about it. And I was just curious what the reaction was going to be. And it's been interesting, to say the least, of just the different critiques and everything surrounding OJ, and then bring it back up to trial and all these things. And I feel like some people kind of forget, or some don't know at the same time, or try to rewrite the mood and the feeling at the time of the OJ case and what it really is about. And I just had some thoughts about it, because I remember this being in high school whenever the Bronco cut off the playoff game, doing all that, and we had just watching the Bronco just drive on the highway. But I remember how polarizing the OJ story was. And I've never seen anything in pop culture that put such a difference between black and white. And like, it wasn't even close. You'll get certain strays who, some black people might think like the whites, some whites might think like the blacks, kind of thing. But if we look at race on a strictly black and white kind of binary, it was so divided. And there are reasons to it. It's complicated, because I'm not gonna, the black people are not a monolith, obviously. I'm gonna speak from my experience and kind of those around me, and the mood and the impression I got from Black America during this time. The majority of people did not believe that he was necessarily innocent. But this thing was not about innocence or guilt. It was almost like OJ became that representation of so much of our trauma, of our history as a people. And I'm one of those people that thinks that trauma carries, even if you didn't experience it personally. I think some of that kind of ancestral stuff kind of carries along with you in your spirit. And to me, that's what happened. It came bubbling out in the OJ case from all the instances of, white women lying on black men and they dying for things they didn't do. um, from all, and whether or not you saw it in public, like played out on a big display, like Central Park Five. Think of things like Emmett Till, things of that nature. We also, I feel like a lot of black people know people in their individual lives. Like I have cousins and things who have gone to prison for, quote unquote, R word and things of that nature. When there were a lot of questions and things surrounding it, and it was something that was kind of preached to you in the household about be careful, a messing with white women, to be honestly. And it's one of those things that came with legitimate history from what our parents experienced and what their parents experienced, things of that nature. So it all made sense. So this OJ became something much bigger than the crime he did or did not commit. And more people, I say Black America kind of got behind OJ because, in a sense, I get the sense of it was almost like even if he did do it and he trolled with that book, if I did it or whatever it was called, something like that, like if I did it this, I would do it or whatever. But he almost became like that representation of, how does it feel now to know the person who harmed someone in your group got away with it, because black people had to experience that all the time. And even whenever crimes were not committed by us, and we would pay for it. But even whenever crimes were committed against us, white folks would not have to pay for it. And that happened repeatedly, over and over and over. And I felt like that just kind of bubbled up in this random situation. Like, I don't know what made OJ, somebody other than me may be able to tell, like, what really made OJ become that. I almost feel like it was like a big trauma response that a lot of black people gathered around and supported. And then once you get into the case, I remember the prosecution, they were not great. I mean, and then the copping and stuff on the scene, all these questions of his racial history, his racism and stuff, and the planting the evidence and things of that nature. It was not a well done case. If you look at the details and stuff there. Of course, we got all the all the things, with the glove. If it don't fit, you must have quit. All that stuff, and black folks were just celebrating, and it was the talk. Even in school, we were talking about this amongst each other, and it would get heated. It would get so divided. White people were so mad. Like, I know the why for black people in my experience. I know the why for why we felt the way we did, even if we wasn't 100% sure he was innocent. More people thought even if he didn't do it, he knew something about it, or like had some kind of was involved some kind of way. That was a dominant belief. But I wonder the why for white people. Like, why were white people? I guess y'all got to ask yourself that why too. Like, why were you so adamant about watching this man just pay for what happened? Like, what is that why? I'm curious about that side. But the announcement, y'all. I think this is a day that everybody remembers where they were whenever this was announced. And I remember being in gym class, and I remember Coach Brown. We all went to his radio. We stopped doing whatever we was doing in class. It was like announcements about to come on. I feel like the whole school stopped. They might have did an announcement over the speaker. I don't remember. But we went to his office, and he put on the radio, and we are it sounds so old. On the radio, and we listened to the announcement. And when that not guilty verdict came out, the way I tell you, all the black people in there, all of us dance, and we would celebrate. I mean, we were dancing around, shouting. doing all this stuff, and the white people, including our our gym teacher, was so mad. Oh my gosh, they were so mad. I kind of feared for myself a little bit at that moment because I didn't know what that teacher was going to do to us. The way he was looking at us and the way we were celebrating, but that was just hilarious to me to think about. And I felt like celebrations were like that all over, but this was so polarizing. But now it's just turned into kind of weird kind of arguments and stuff that I see going out there today. And like, oh, everything has become much more about race and it's kind of flipping. I feel like a lot of people are trying to paint black people as being racist. And I was seeing a lot of this kind of going on with this as well. And like we're okay with white people being killed and all these things and abuse. I don't know. It's just turned all these weird things. But I just was reliving that moment. And I'm curious how everybody was in that moment, how you reacted, what you thought, what you think now, all about it. I feel like views have kind of changed through the years. Like that was a moment in time where we collectively needed that. And I think we had so much going on with the riots and it was just a lot happening. And I felt like black people needed a win. And this was kind of it became like a win for us. It's oddly enough. But how do you really explain how do you respond to trauma when you go through traumatic things, it's just a responses can be very interesting in that. But OJ, hopefully in heaven or wherever, I just say heaven just because, but I honestly don't believe in heaven and hell, but that's another story. But wherever you are now, I just hope that you tell the truth, whatever that may be. And I leave that cryptic because y'all, we don't know. And nobody needs to speak like they know for certain what the truth is. But hopefully you tell the truth wherever you are. All right. The next one I want to get to, we'll stay on this rich train. Blessed are the rich and famous, for they continue to play in our faces for their own entertainment. And this is all about Jerrod Carmichael. Baby, you are playing in our face. You are being an entertainer, and I don't think it's serving you well. If you are watching the Jerrod Carmichael show, I'm gonna give you two different perspectives. One, I want to approach it from Jerrod as a person and who he is, and the other perspective is just from a show ideal. Because if it's just from a person and who you are and what you're showing us, I want nothing to do with you anymore. Like I don't want to support you. That's just where I am right now after 3 episodes. I don't know if something's going to change after the three, but that's where I am now. However, from a production show standpoint, it's great TV. I mean, it just is. And I have to separate because I do have a producer's mind. And that's something I'm confident in saying these days and things like that. I do have a producer's mind and the way to put things together and the look and all that, and it's giving me the beats, it's giving me the things that I need, the things that make stuff interesting and fascinating, and it's why I'm going to continue to watch this whole series. But after the series, I don't know if I can support anything else you do unless there's some serious changes and growth I see by this journey. And that doesn't mean perfection, but you have to acknowledge some of this shit that you've been saying in these earlier episodes. And if it's not acknowledged by the end of this, I need somebody with some hard hitting questions about this. You've been doing your little circuit on all these things. I saw you on Watch What Happens Live, and I saw you on some of the Tonight shows and the View and this and that. And people are celebrating. Unless I missed something, I haven't seen people really pressing you on some of the statements you're making. Now, episode one, we were willing to kind of overlook you putting that random foot in your mouth and all the little white twinks you had coming in and out. And when I say that, I'm a person who would date anybody. Like I don't care if you black, white, this and that. That's me. And people can read that however they want. I don't care. And I don't think I don't care about you just with that. But whenever you combine that with other statements that you're making as we talk about some of these episodes, that becomes a problem with me when that's all I see coming in and out of that house. Now, one part is very sexually liberating to see you not afraid. You know, you're on your grinder, you're doing all this, all that, and you got all the people coming in and out your house. Um, there's sexual freedom, sexual liberation, and all of that. But it starts to get a little weird in some ways that we're getting into. You had us on your side with the whole Tyler Creator situation. We were looking like, man, we can relate confessing a love to a friend or being in love with a friend before doing all these things, those feelings and going through that. It's like, wow, this is bold. He's doing this on camera. The more I dissect it, I'm like, yeah, this could be playing in our faces, putting this on camera. Why are you doing this? The why questions just start to come in. But that moment we're with you and we're all like, oh, Tyler, this is effed up. Tyler the Creator, I don't really know much about him. I kind of remember like some of the Jaden Smith stuff and the sexual fluidity or whatever. Nothing about him really it kind of gives me, and I could be totally wrong. I say that and I just say what it gives me. Is somebody just cosplaying and being in the buzzwords and being, trying to be all things to all people for your own benefit. Because not he doesn't really give me gay or even bi or anything. I don't know. I could be wrong though. Y'all might know more about his life and history than I do because I honestly don't know anything. But anyway, this moment was had, and we're there. I'm like, okay, this is going to be an interesting show. You're giving us some insights. You're being open, raw, real, going here and what's happening. You should have listened to your masked friend. He said on that episode because he was not showing his face, and I'm with the masked friend now because he was like, He was like, number one, he was funny about how production is not gonna use me and stuff and my content when it's out of my control and stuff like that. But he was like, I fear for you because I know you and you putting these things out here, like, I don't know if this is going to be a good look for you, basically. And now after episode two, I mean, we had three, but when episode two aired, I understood what he was talking about because he knows you and he knows some of these controversial things that about your life. Sir, whenever you mention race play to start off episode two, the way that I gasped out loud, I had to pause because I was and rewind because I know he did does not say, "Are you in the race play?" You're gonna have all. And that's whenever you start to think about all these white twinks, and you talk about how you love a twink coming through, and then you have your boyfriend who's a white twink, from Iowa, and then talking about race play. Okay, this is where I start getting off the train immediately. Anytime somebody mentions that, you got to do these why questions for yourself because it's one thing to have a kink, it's one thing to, be into stuff, but it's some stuff that's just completely unacceptable. You can do a dom sub type relationship in a healthy manner. There are healthy ways to have a dom sub relationship. We all have dominant and sub sides, and sex could be fun playing it out in so many different ways. But race play, there is no way, no slave master kind of race situations would be coming in my way. There is absolutely no way. And somebody who does that, there's an issue. There's an underlying issue. There's something you need to search within yourself and figure out where's this coming from. Because it's not right. There's zero argument for it. And it's not and I want people to know this is not a gay thing because that plays out in heterosexual relationships as well. Y'all remember the pictures of whenever that black man was marrying that white woman and they had on them slave plantation pictures, their wedding pictures. Yeah. Some Negroes are just messed up in the head. I there's something wrong. All right, but that's just a piece of it. You go to race play, the episode moves on, and we get into the relationship. If you're already immediately in counseling, like at the start of your relationship, I don't know. That to me, that's a red flag. Something this ain't right. But we get a look into how sexually active you are. Okay, so you say you probably slept with more than 1,000 people, whatever. I honestly don't care. You know, S- to me, and this is me, y'all adjust me on my morals and stuff with that. I sleep with as many people as you want, whatever. That means nothing to me. The problem I have is whenever you say you're the one who wanted a monogamous relationship and you try to make this man monogamous and he can't do whatever he wants to do. But the minute y'all can't be in the same city, you're gonna be on Grinder. You're gonna have other guys coming through, and we have camera evidence of you having all these other guys coming through, and you're lying and counseling like everything is going okay. I That's just not a good person. Like, I don't know a way around that because there are healthy ways to have an open relationship. Your boyfriend might even be willing to do that. But this idea of monogamy and trying to hold somebody into this and you're not living up to it, but and then not owning up to it, I'm off the train again because now you're showing your character and how you move in another way. And that character keeps coming out. So they go through their whole turmoil in their relationship with that episode too. I don't know why this white boy is with him. I don't care who he is, what money he got, all this and that. Ain't nobody gonna play in my face like that. So that tells me something about your self-respect too, sir. But okay, y'all move through that. He's doing this line, he's doing this cheating. Then we get to the end of the episode and you do that slave master joke. And because his boyfriend in the episode, you find out buys some books and all this stuff, and he's like, like he ain't gonna read and stuff. And then it's like all these like black people not being able to read type things, and the master having to teach them, and then he's doing these, starts talking in this slave talk voice, and you can tell the crowd is uncomfortable, but he's like, "Oh, this joke is for me. I find it funny," and he goes on to talk about it like there is something. Mm-mm. You got to get on a real show where somebody starts investigating because what you're doing, because let me tell you how black people, um mainly black people, I can say that how the LGBTQ community is painted with certain people. They look at it as being white adjacent and as being something very European, and you're only gay because of the Europeans. You're making them people look correct by doing this foolishness because this is crazy. And you're just feeding into all these negative stereotypes. You're feeding into the sexual stereotypes. Yeah, maybe are gay people more sexual? Maybe that could be. I mean, there's something about sexual. I feel like guys in general, maybe, and maybe that's just my own viewpoint, have a little bit more of that sexual kind of side. Um, On average, I would say, because I ain't saying like ladies, y'all can't be sexual. Yeah, y'all very much can be. But I'm just saying like on an average scale. So it does give me that, but the way that it's painted is not in a good light. I like you're not doing anything to benefit the community at large, and I feel like it's at a time whenever the LGBTQ plus community is under siege in so many ways. And I feel like you're very selfish, which we find out in episode 3 you are. And this approach to how you are opening your life and going about these things is in a very selfish manner. And it's painting this little picture. You're like, oh, I'm a baby gay. I just came out. So it's like I'm 17 or whatever. He says, whatever number he uses. So that's why you want to explore and things. Well, number one, yeah, there is an exploration period. Absolutely. Just with anybody coming into any sexuality, there's you want to explore. So explore. Don't get a boyfriend. Don't talk about monogamy. Just sit out there and explore. You can't use that as an excuse for why you're doing what you're doing when you made the decision to be in a relationship. That has nothing to do with your sexuality at all. So I don't like that picture that was painted there because that just basically like gay people can't control themselves. Like, no, you cannot control yourself. You have the issue. Then we get episode 3, and his best friend comes, and this is some sweet parts of this where he you find out in the episode how he got her an apartment, even though he only paid for a month. He said then, and that was more about he wanted to get her out the house and stuff. But there is a niceness element because you don't have to do those things. You don't have to take care of some. She wants to be an actress, and she was giving some good acting to me though, y'all. Like if you watch the episode, she was doing her thing. She was believable. So I think maybe she has a shot. And he finally ends up, kind of like trying to use his influence and help her out and stuff with some things. But this is his homie. This is his best friend for since high school or whatever. And girl, you are a mess too. Before I get into Mr. Carmichael, the way that you came into this man's apartment and had your bras and panties and everything spread all over the place and was like, "Oh, I will clean up, but I don't feel like it." Who does this? I don't know what part of North Carolina y'all are from. Like, I don't understand what is happening. Maybe it's a new generational thing or something where it becomes with like cleanliness and things of that nature because who does this around other people? I can see by yourself if it's just you, clean up how you want. But to go in somebody else's space and to be that nasty, mm-mm, that was a turnoff. Definitely for me too. So I was kind of rocking with him there. But this episode is all surrounded around am I a good friend? Which is a good, it's a good thing to explore. But you find out how much of a shitty friend he is. Shitty. The way that you did your best friend from growing up at his wedding and made that all about you to showing up an hour at you're 10 minutes away, till you got these cameras with you and this is going to be shown. So this is part I'm thinking in my head is like, oh, you don't care. Like, this is what's going to happen and be shown. Are you caring more about making a good TV product versus your best friend's moment? To show up an hour late and then you have problems with the tuxedos and stuff picked out, so you do your own thing, it ain't gonna be designer enough for you. This is not your wedding. This is your friend's wedding, if you know what that word means. And the way that they did him afterwards, with all the phone calls, that was hilarious. That had me rolling. Especially the one that said, "You're not even an A-list celebrity." Boop. Why are you doing this like this? So he talks about how he has this tendency to kind of push people away and just kind of just go and ignore and ghost you after a while. And I know people like this. And those people, I, you know what? Because I would put in energy to a friendship. I would reach out and I would do those things. But the minute, not the minute, once I start realizing that pattern of how you get ghosts, I'm like, oh, this the time you on. So he's one of those people. I'd be curious what his sign is. I need to look that up. So he's just one of those people that just kind of like, lets you just fade. He avoids the conversation and just kind of just lets things just float on out. S- He's just not a good person. And I hate this because I didn't know anything about you. And now I don't want to know anything about you. Everything I've learned about you, I don't like. So I have no desire to really follow your career beyond this TV show. Because there's still conversations coming up that I want to see you have and stuff with your parents and things of that nature. And it's a good TV show. It is. It's just the subject matter, because it's not just the subject that's making it a good TV show. I want to make that clear. It's the way that it's done and produced. And but these were different moments you were having. It would still be a great show, and I would like you as a person. But these moments are just not it. You just, it's a mess. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it on through. And we'll see if my brother want to pick it up and review it and stuff with me. Oh, those were the two of the biggest ones that I had some things with. The next ones are gonna be really quick. Blessed are the young stars who want to be normal. Trust us, normal folks, the grass is not greener on the other side. Now, this was all about Zendaya. I don't know if y'all saw like last week, Zendaya she had a couple of articles about how she wishes she went to school, how she wouldn't do things the same way and with her kids if and she started thinking about those things and started thinking about family and stuff with Tom Holland and stuff down the future and things with them and talking about stepping away from the spotlight and stuff even at this point. And she's realizing now, and she has a grown woman movie about to come up, and I want to watch it, The Challenger. And she's like, people really, she doesn't know if people are going to accept her, as this 20 something that she is now versus this little kid who she's been for so long and in the spotlight for so long. Like she said in this one statement I want to read, I'm always going through my angsty teenager phase now because I didn't really have the time to do it before. And she's referring to becoming the breadwinner of her family very early on. And as for her and Holland, she says the next step in their love story, be it marriage or having kids, she didn't say, but Zendaya did say she couldn't be more proud of her boyfriend who returns to the stage in May in New London for the Romeo and Juliet, and we're mentioning that too in a minute. But Zendaya, I just want to say the grass is not always greener because on those of us who have done it, we went through those moments. We went through the schooling, we went through all that, and we do all that to get where you are, that you earn that. And I get it, this idea of feeling like you missed out on some things. And that might be a feeling that you can't get over because you would never be able to go back in and have those moments. However, having gone through some of those moments, they're not that memorable. I'm gonna just tell you that they really aren't. They really are not that memorable. Now, as more is coming out about child stars, I'm sure there are ways that things could have been done to make moments more memorable for you to still be a kid. I think there's a element of that that's very true where you're going through this stuff as a young star. You have to realize that these are kids. And you have to let them be kids in situations and do that. But just take it from us. You are doing just fine. You did a okay, better than a okay, because it's what it's about. Life is about, it is about making moments and having those moments with people. So that's why I understand this feeling of thinking you missed out on something. But no, you just make those moments with people that are around you. So what I would say, just take from now, don't look back because there's nothing else you can do. You can't get those moments back. You can't recreate them. Don't live your life trying to recreate moments. Because I feel like that's what happens. Speaking of Jerrod Carmichael, that's kind of what happens with coming out late. And I know that with coming out late, what happens that you try to recapture and relive and do all these things. No, you can't. You got to live in the moment that you are now. Okay. And live for those moments and make those moments memorable going forward. And not having some things gives you a new perspective so you know how to shape and mold these new moments in your life. But don't spend time thinking about what you missed out on because it was nothing. Um, Blessed are those who stand up for righteousness, and may you receive your reward in heaven. Now, that is for the Romeo and Juliet situation that we just mentioned there with Tom Holland. This really upset me. We talked about it on our last podcast. Please listen to it if you haven't already. But the way that they came after this black woman for playing the role of Juliet with Tom Holland. Tom Holland's playing Romeo, and I don't want to say her name wrong, which I probably will. But I just want to pull it up real quick. I should have listened to some see what her name, but Francesca. I don't know if it's Emodua Rivers or however you pronounce it. Um, but she's African, and Francesca Rivers, she's playing Juliet, and there was a barrage of racist, just mean, just downright, just disgusting comments made to her, to the point where the director of the company had to come out and make statements. This like people, this is not okay. This is not by any means okay. And what happened, there were like over 900 signatures of black actors who came into her support. You know, this is sad. It is really sad that we have come to this point in our society where you, as a black person, if you make it to anything that's seen of status, that's outside of, I don't even know if I could say outside of athletics even now, because that's becoming even interesting in this way. But if you're just a person who makes it to any kind of status, you're questioned. And you feel like some, and people are starting to feel like something has been given to you. Y'all are letting this right wing stupid rhetoric win and poison your souls out here. Like, the voices on the other side need to be so much more than what we're hearing on this right when it comes to things like DEI and affirmative action and da da da. We're gonna be back in the 1800s. It's ridiculous. And this woman who's playing Juliet is accomplished. And when I say y'all are dumb, just dummies, and letting these people win, because I saw some of the most ridiculous comments from black people. Because y'all black Republicans are getting on my damn nerves. Like, we don't need this. Why don't they just make something fresh? Who wants to see this in a movie? Nah, 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 nah. Y'all just playing into this. Number one, it's not a movie. It's theater. I don't know when theater. Like, do you ever go to theater? Theater? Okay. Have you seen a play? Are you cultured? It's not a movie. It's a show. And a show can have actors of many races playing many parts. If it's a fantasy, if it's not real, if it's something not based on a historical character, okay? Anybody can be Juliet. You could be Chinese, you could be Latino, you could be white, you could be black, you could be whatever, Native American, and play the role of Juliet. It is not specific to blonde hair and blue eyes. I don't. And the woman is accomplished. She is an accomplished actress, a theater girl. Like, I don't. It's just so upsetting to me. And this case, it has really bugged me. I ain't gonna lie. The hate that she, and because it broke me up whenever she talked about it, and I was trying to find her quote in this article if I can find it real quick. It just really broke me up with what she had to face. Because she talks about just honestly like how difficult it has been. I can't find it, might have been a different one. But she had it talking about the difficulties of seeing all these comments and all this hate and everything directed at her. It's been a lot and hard to deal with. How do you even deal with that as a person? You're just trying to do your profession, do something you love, and now everything about what you worked hard for and earned is questioned just because everybody wants to be on some train now that black people are given everything and everything about their credentials should be questioned in life. The way that this pissed me off, y'all, the hell off. And I don't know why it's just taking black actors to have to do this. Where are the white people? Where's everybody else? This should be well over so many signatures in the acting world. Where are you white people? I need your voices loud on this. Black people should not have to continually speak up for ourselves by ourselves all the time in certain situations. Okay. Your voices do come out in some situations, but then you go, silent in others. It's not consistent. Okay. So it pissed me off. It really did piss me off. But thank y'all for standing up for her. Blessed are those with pale skin and talent, for they continue to attract the masses. That's for you, Miss Caitlin Clark. Now, I have nothing against Caitlin Clark. I really enjoy Caitlin Clark. She was on SNL, and I thought the skit was great. It was funny. Her against Michael Che and the joke. It was funny. I would say go back and watch it. And she paid homage again to Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, all those who did all this foundational work so she can now run through the door. Um, it's your supporters that I have a problem with because I think it is my theory here because there have been so many great white players, basketball players, women basketball players, and no one has caught on like Caitlyn. And I know she was chasing history, chasing record, but from a basketball perspective, I just have a different basketball kind of perspective, me personally, when it comes to like how she stacks up against some of those other great ones. Like, give me Breonna Stewart any day. I feel like because if you want to talk about a great white girl, but there's so many. But the way that anything said against Caitlyn is perceived as hatred, jealousy, racist, all these things, it needs to be studied. I think it has something to do with her, the whiteness is a factor, but it's not the only thing because, like I said, there's been so many great white players, but we get in the race thing, white people do get put you know, that can't be denied. There's a proposition that you get props. Um, but the whiteness is just one element, and she's talented. She's very talented, a great player, no doubt. So you got those two things working for you. I think it's something about being in Iowa and that America, middle America, that's where the primary did they change that? I don't know. I don't think the primary start in Iowa anymore. I know they were talking about demographic shifting, even with the Democratic. But Iowa was that central place where it's like, oh, if you want to know what middle America feels like, go to Iowa. You got to test things in Iowa. And to have this white woman be so good and then play in Iowa, it just kind of elevated this Superman, Supergirl status, this like hero. And you see her kind of put out there, and where then everything that she does is going to be elevated to a certain extent. And it's not anything on her. It really isn't. It really anything on Caitlyn specifically. She just is able to get away with things that other girls would not be able to get away with. Y'all, they will prop you up. It's something that they will prop you up if you fit those right demographics and she checks those boxes, she's gonna go number one in the WNBA draft. And the Indiana Fever already have all of their games besides four nationally televised. This is crazy. It really is crazy. The worst team, that was the worst team in the WNBA, are now going to have all their games televised just about just because of one person who hasn't even stepped on the court yet. That's y'all. Say what you want. I can say what I want and have these critiques, but that girl got power. She got she got that star power that they want. That it like now. I just hope it's just not too much pressure on her. That's a lot of pressure. A lot of things to have to live up to. Like Michael Jordan didn't even have that. Okay, and Michael Jordan, she is not. Like she just isn't. At least not yet. But they already want to put her in this status of things that have not been earned. I don't know how we got here. We just did a story where black woman works hard, does these things, gets to play. Juliet not earned. Okay, she didn't earn it. Same thing. Caitlin Clark's worked hard all of her life, done these things, she's made the point and now she's at the level to prove herself. But y'all are saying like she doesn't even have to prove herself in the WNBA against the world's best players. She's already the world's best player. That's what people are saying. How do you already catapult her above everybody else that's been doing this? It's just very strange to me, the power that this woman has. And that's what I want people to ask themselves, the why question. Why? Why Caitlyn? Why are we propping Caitlyn up like this? What is it about Caitlyn? I don't know. I really don't know. But it's gonna be interesting to see, y'all. Last but not least, blessed are black women on this earth, for you are truly a superpower. I said what I said. And that's what Miss Beyonce. Yes, close us out, Miss Beyonce, Miss Cowboy Carter. She now, I think I saw it today, and I don't want to miss say it, but I believe Cowboy Carter, they said, is her longest number one hit. I'm about to look it up real quick to make sure I don't give out bad information. But it has broken multiple streaming records. But it debuted definitely at number one. All the songs were like out at number one. And yeah, all my articles not found today, but I believe it. I saw something that said it's something you might want to check that in and confirm yourself to make sure it's now her longest number one or something running or something of that nature. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but she has repeated a number one for the first time in 11 years. But it is number one for the second straight week as an album. And it is just getting played and played and played. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's something about that stat it's throwing me off. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but we'll just go with it's her second week at number one right here. And for as great as Beyonce is, it's always interesting. Like her number ones, she has, like she has number ones, but she doesn't have as many as you think she would have, or they're not as long running as you thought they would be, which I always thought is kind of interesting for Beyonce. But Cowboy Carter is the truth, y'all. Listen to our podcast, and you can listen to my brother Carl Parker make his ridiculous arguments against Beyonce. I don't know where this Beyonce hate be coming from, but the girl is it. And I want to know just from y'all, I'm just curious, like now after playing the album for a while, like what are the ones that you continually listen to? For me, it's American Requiem, Blackbird. I feel like I can't start the album without hearing those two back to back. If I'm in the mood, I go to Protector. I think about my kid and stuff. It's such a cute song. and the words is very meaningful, but it's some Tommy for me. Like if I want to go to it, and then I go the Bodyguard. That's I love Bodyguard. It's not my number one, but I do love Bodyguard. Um, Spaghetti. It's my track. Alligator Tears. Most Wanted. It's probably my fun. Two Most Wanted. It's probably my favorite song on the track. I mean, on the album. Ya Ya, Riverdance, and Two Hands to Heaven. Those are ones that I could listen to consistently. Second tier, not all the time, but Tyron and Sweet Honey Bucking. Yeah, I gotta maybe I throw those in too. I kind of play what's Riverdance. I kind of play Riverdance to the end through Sweet Honey Bucking. So I'm just curious which ones y'all play. I like them all. These are the ones now. Now I do skip around. I don't listen to the whole album straight through and stuff anymore. I've done that quite a few times. I don't need to do it anymore. But now I kind of pick and choose whenever I want to go to them. But give it up for Beyonce. She is the superpower. She definitely is. She's the queen, and that's all I can say on her. So those were some things I wanted to talk about, y'all. Just to spend a little hour with y'all, and hopefully, everybody's doing well out there. And yeah, I will see you guys again around the sun. Don't forget, hopefully, prayerfully, Parker's Couch Podcast will be out tomorrow. Go to your Apple Podcast station, Spotify, Amazon, Podbean, wherever you get your podcast from. Hopefully you will be able to find the Parker's Couch. Thank you. Love you. And until next time, later tater tots.